Edyn Blair, my guest for the evening. If you want to call or text her, you know exactly where you can find her at Edyn Blair. Links to all of her social media are in the episode description below. Please make sure you support the creators that come on this show. Otherwise, they don't come on anymore. It's quite simple. If I tell them, hey, people will go to your stuff, and then no one fucking shows up, doesn't work. Ladies and gentlemen, my guest tonight, Edyn Blair. Edyn, thank you so much for coming on with me.
Of course, I'm very happy to be here.
You are the first guest I have talked to that is currently in a bus.
Yes.
Go ahead.
2020.
I would like to get into that in a little bit because I think we are along the same mindset in some aspects, perhaps. Okay.
Sure.
Let me ask you, first question right off the bat. What do you consider, with all that you do in life for revenue, what do you consider your job title to be?
I'm an adult performer and creator.
Okay. All right. Very fair. Very fair. I like that one. Can you talk me through how you initially got into the adult entertainment industry? Let's clear out the history first, and then we'll get into the now and the future.
Okay. Well, a little bit about my overall background. I've always been a little bit saucier and more open with the way I dress than a lot of people. When I was in school and everything. I moved out at 19. Started working, and at some point before I turned 21, I was a door girl at a strip club. Okay. And then when I was, 22, I think, I started dancing. And then it's in between there, I cammed and did a few things. I've modeled outright, since I was 18 under my name, and did a lot with that. Did a lot of car magazines and car shows and things. And then I always wondered about doing movies. And I had just broken up with somebody, and then I also had to leave school. I was going to be a auto body tech. Okay. So I wanted to restore classic cars. I was top of my class, and then we started working with polishing compound, and it turns out I'm severely allergic to one of the chemicals in it. And I had to drop out of school when I was 6 months from finishing. So it kind of sucked. But I saw this documentary, and I actually got to meet the director, and I'm trying to remember the name of it off the top of my head right now, and I can't.
Do you remember where you saw it, maybe?
I believe it was a documentary that was on HBO at the time. This is in 2014. So, okay. But yeah, it was something, and then it was a R-rated look in an X-rated industry or something like that. Okay. And I got to meet the director. I believe it's Gavin something, or Michael something, but I saw that, and basically what that showed versus every other documentary that I've ever seen was a positive look at the industry and not just attacking. I got to see fans, I got to see entourages, I got to, see more performers and kind of behind the scenes of what the AVN show was, and that's where they filmed that at. And I was just I can do that. And so in another documentary I had seen, someone had mentioned La Tata, and so that is a Los Angeles group of talent agencies that are all licensed for adult industry. So I looked that up, had my first full spread eagle nudes taken by a local photographer that I knew. I was in North Carolina at the time. Sent them to all 10 of the agencies and got a call, and then the next week I had all my stuff loaded up, and I drove myself alone for 4 days across the United States to LA. And 3 days after I got there, I did my first scene, and the rest is history.
There is so many questions for me to ask with that. Let's go back to the strip club. The initial thing you did, you said was it a door girl, a bar girl? Okay.
Yep.
Was it inevitable you were going to get on that stage, or did you? I was going to say, did you see some girl hit one night and you're like, oh, fuck? Or was it man, I got to pay this bill. Maybe what was the transition then from that to?
I honestly was just comfortable with it, I guess. There was just a moment, like there was times when I was like, no, that'll never, and then I just realized, like, I'm comfortable with it, so I'm gonna do it. Like, I believe, like, for me, there was something with, like, my upbringing maybe holding me back a little bit, and, like, I always knew deep down inside, though, that this just fit me. Like, sure. The sex industry world fit me, and I was able to, work for myself, make my own money, control my time, and have a lot more freedom. And so I think that was part of that draw. But also, like, I've always been comfortable with my body, and so I think it became inevitable at one point. Sure.
So okay, all right, I always wonder that if it's a thing where you're taking the job at the front and you go, oh man, I don't think I could ever do that, and then a girl walks off, tells you, I made $10,000 tonight, and you go, well, now I have to figure out a way to do that.
Well, keep in mind, this is way back in 2008, 2009. So that was when I first started. And I mean, $1,000 was like crazy money per night, and like, but like people love to like show big money and big things, and that's like possible in certain areas in the world, but for most places, like especially the kind of clubs I personally like to frequent, because I'm a curvier girl, I would get declined from a lot of like the big shiny gentlemen's clubs. Even when I lived in California and I was looking for a club to dance at in between shoots, I still couldn't get into certain clubs, just because of my body type and where my tattoos are placed. It's really weird. So a lot of the clubs I worked at were like these little divey little rock bars and stuff, and like Band-Aids is a really famous club that I danced at in Scottsdale, Arizona. And I wanted to work at Pantera down the road, and nope, wasn't skinny enough. They're like, go hit the gym for like 30 days straight and then come back and audition again, is what they told me.
Whoa. Was that guy totally ripped and in great shape and everything?
Oh, no,
or did he look like me?
Yeah. Right. Like it always is.
Sure.
I wish more women owned clubs, because I feel like they would probably make a lot more money and the girls would be a lot happier. But we can get into, extremely predatory club practices.
Sure.
Maybe next time I'm on, we'll talk about that.
Let me ask you, how was your club experience actually working there? I'll say this, and we'll get into it, because maybe this isn't the best.
Depends on the club, honestly.
Okay, all right.
I've been at really nice clubs that treated everyone like shit, and I've been at really shitty clubs that treated like family. So
okay, all right. See, I was going to ask about the women only because on Twitter, today's a different case, and we'll maybe talk about that. We won't mention names or anything. I'll bring something up to you and just get your opinion on it. But normally when I see porn star Twitter, I think, oh my God, these girls are going to go at each other's throats. They're going to be, we got to get this. We got to get the bag, whatever you would say if you were a younger, person, not me.
Dancers are like that. Dancers.
See, and that's the thing. The porn stars online are so supportive and like
try to work together. Yeah.
yeah. But I've heard horror stories about dancers at clubs.
There's always going to be mean girls. There's always going to be bad actors. Like, it doesn't matter what industry you're in, where you work, like, I think that's something important to say with what's also happening right now, like in the world, and like it's the shame that everyone like tries to put on everyone. And I think that really like does eat at a lot of people too. Because like we get hatred like no one else. Like it's crazy, but everyone forgets we all sell our bodies. Some of us just choose to charge up front. So, so it's incredible. Like I've seen some really, really, really catty people, and I've seen some of the most incredible, intelligent, hardworking, caring people I've ever met in my entire life. And that says a lot because I've lived a lot of places, and so the industry for the most part is just a collection of really, really good people who are just a little bit different, than they find each.
All right, let me test my memory. When you were saying you wanted to work in auto body repair, my first thought was she would be the hottest person that's ever worked in auto body repair, right? But then I thought about, you know what you could have definitely done if you got into that? I could see you as like the woman on one of those teams on like a TLC show or a History Channel show where they're like fixing up an old car and they're like, let's check with Edyn what she thinks about the bodywork on this.
Yeah, that was something that I always thought would be really cool.
Yeah.
But I like I said, when I modeled, my entrance into that at 18 was some non-nude men's magazine stuff and some car magazines and car shows. And I've always loved car shows anyway. But I started getting like offers to come and work the shows as a model at the shows and do all of that stuff. And so I really got to see and appreciate like a lot of really beautiful cars with really extraordinary work done to them. And I wanted to be able to do that. Like that was what I wanted to do, you know? So, and I had 2 shops that wanted to hire me straight out of school already, like before I even finished. But you know,
if I come in your shop and breathe the fumes, I'll die. So I actually can't accept this job. Thank you.
Yeah, I was getting like hives everywhere. It was horrible. So.
You pointed out your tattoos. Now my wife has about 14, and she just got some cash, so she's going to add about 10 more. I personally love your tattoo. It's what would you call that? Above your waist, on your stomach?
A waist tattoo.
Okay.
Yeah. So.
Let me ask, do you... okay, you said it may have not cost you opportunities. Or did it cost you opportunities early on? Is that fair to say?
Oh, okay. No, absolutely cost it constantly up to the day I moved out of Cali. So it's some companies just prefer no tattoos. Some companies will let it slide. I almost didn't work for Hustler. There was like a showdown in the Hustler office.
Hustler? Really? Larry Flint's Hustler?
Yeah, like so when I did my first scene for Hustler, there were 2 men that worked in the office. One of them saw me at my second XBiz Awards red carpet where I did not come to play. Okay, I wore like my hair, like I had stopped dyeing my hair black, so it was red. I had a blue dress that was just solid sequins that went all the way to the floor, and I looked like a fucking mermaid. And I had big old stripper heels on with it because it was so long. I had to. So I was super tall, and so he noticed me like all the way across the room at the red carpet area, and came over, said hi to me, told him who my agent was, and then like a week later, went in for a go-see with some other girls, and then 3 days after that, I got the call that I got a booking, and then the guy that I had run into was one of their marketing directors or whatever, but he was the guy that booked all the girls, him and 2 others. And he told me that they got like into it over my tattoos because they didn't like 2 of them really, really didn't like them. And he was like, give this girl a shot. This is like my first year in, right? So this is, I'd been in for 1 year, second XBiz, because my first XBiz was like the week I got to LA. So it was, I have pictures. I looked horrible. But yeah, so they got into it. He really, really like advocated for me because he thought I would sell well. And so they decided to give me a shot, and then had multiple scenes with them after that. So, and been in a couple other magazines and stuff. So it's been great. Never been a cover, but you know, had full spread going on in there. So it works out.
So do you regret them now or no? Tattoo?
No. All of my tattoos have a philosophical meaning to me, and I got them at certain points in my life to represent that point in my life. So I would never regret a tattoo. And besides, like a regret is just a lesson that you don't learn something from.
Gotcha.
You know, so like I don't have regrets. I have lessons that I learned from, and they can only turn into a regret if you duplicate that, right? So
I interviewed Stephanie Love, who's very tattooed performer. And at the end, I asked, what's a thing of advice you would give to a younger woman looking to get into this industry, you know, in her 20s or whatever, and she's trying to find something to do. And she screamed, don't. And now Stephanie screams at everything, so I love her for that. Like, don't get me wrong. but she screamed at me, no, don't get tattoos. Don't ever get tattoos. And now she's getting them removed, it seems like. Well, look, everyone's personal preference. I totally get that. I just don't understand why in 2025 they come down so hard on like tattoo. I thought people like tattoos. I thought people love tattoos. Or is it ebbing and flowing?
So that's like, there's another like sub factor that I've noticed with the industry when it comes to tattooed models, but we'll get to that. But yeah, predominantly you'll get like a couple of heavily tattooed performers that are doing like a wide variety of scenes, but those girls are extremely rare, right? Like Christy Mack is a prime example of one of those, right? Or
Bonnie Rotten.
Bonnie Rotten is another example, right? So, but there aren't many that get pushed out past like just doing taboo, tattooed only, like kink and like those kinds of things, right? So it's hard to like say things without it, but they tend to do like they're working for like Burning Angel, for example, right? Like they're in a very specific niche. Okay. Right. Yeah. And even those performers, like if I was a heavily tattooed performer and I had the restrictions on my scenes that I have, I probably wouldn't get any work, or very, very, very rarely would get work. I already didn't get a lot of work that I could have gotten because I have restrictions for my scenes, obviously. Right. So like I don't do anal, for instance. Right. So like bunch of scenes, especially for me being a very wide-hipped, very curvy girl. Like my agents were constantly trying to like get me to do it, and I tried one, didn't go well. I was like, okay, that's it. I'm not gonna put my body through that. Like it's not for me, right? So but it's like, but when you look at tattooed models, like a lot of times they're doing like really, really rough scenes. And it almost feels like a lot of times they get pigeonholed into that. And then you do get tattooed models that like break out. Like Cleo Valentine is a really good example that's done a lot of like Wicked movies and Adam and Eve and stuff, right? And they get a chance to do like the romance scenes and stuff. But it's very rare for them to like get those opportunities without being like a really, really big name at some point.
So what is your opinion on why that is? Is it like an old guard is still running?
Just sales. It's just sales. Like right now, like the industry has transitioned into, from what I've been hearing, where they are evaluating Pornhub subscribers. They're evaluating all your social media subscribers, and some companies won't hire someone if they don't have over a certain amount. Right. Which is unfortunate, because if that would have been the case, because Twitter was around when I joined in 2014, Instagram was around, like all of those things. If that would have been the case when I first got in the industry, I didn't have a Twitter account like at all. I didn't have a Pornhub account. Like of course not. Like, why would I? Right. If that was the case now, there's a possibility that there are a lot of opportunities that I would have never gotten. Okay. Right. And so I really don't think that's right. And I don't like, especially with us getting consistently banned and shadow banned and our accounts getting taken down. And like, I feel like it's not something you can really show value with, like as much as, they maybe think they can. Right. Which is how a lot of like OnlyFans casting is done, is they're like, oh, what is your subscriber count? And like all that. But there are professional companies that do the same thing. But when I was in, it was traditional go-sees, going to the head of the casting, getting naked, letting them take a few pictures, and seeing if you get a call. Like that's right. Yeah. That's crazy. Yeah, I mean,
part of me understands it, right? Like they're not in a.
But the world works now. I get it, but it's still hard, because I'm like, I feel like there's probably someone who's just starting out who doesn't have that, who maybe doesn't get those opportunities. But at the end of the day, also, any new performer who's brand spanking new, that gets pushed out by the agents. And so they'll get a whole bunch of bookings. And then if they're, good for the company, or they're an adequate performer, and it doesn't shock them or like make them want to leave, they'll get more bookings and they'll be able to stay in the industry. I think that's part of it too, is like, it's to have like an extended career is difficult. So.
I do a new girl interview show too, and I get people on who I always try and look for people who are going to make this a career, right? I don't necessarily want to have an interview with you here if you're going to ask me to pull it 6 months from now. Not that I won't. I just don't want to have to go back and forth. I'll put it out
6 months, you know, so it's under a year.
Sure. But to me, it seems like, when I talk to them, a lot of them get started in camming and they hit you with that new title on the cam sites, right? And I see those girls with 5,000, 6,000, 7,000 people sometimes. And then I always ask them, I go, did it eventually fall off? Like as you were still camming more? And they're like, yeah. So it sounds like it's almost that thing where you get that bump at the beginning. Oh, I've never seen Edyn Blair before. Ooh, let's have her on. Oh God, let's put her in 4, 5, 6 scenes. And if she pops and the social media follows along with it and people want to see her and there's good comments and everything else, that's great. And if not, well, back out to the wilderness, she'll find something to do. That's a really kind of scary way of doing. Like I'm coming at this, by the way, sorry if I throw my hands at the screen a lot. That's what I do. If I'm not even Italian, but I still talk with my hands all the time. So there's that. It seems like I would come into this if I had no knowledge of the industry, right? I would think, here's my job. I'm a hot girl. I'm going to show up on set. I'm going to have sex for a little while. I'm going to collect my giant paycheck at the end and go home and not have to do anything else, right? Did you realize, or I guess if you started that far...
I knew what work was going to entail.
You did.
But like... Yeah, but that is the dream that's sold, right? And it's like, number one, generally, unless you're like the performer of the year, like you're getting average rate, right? Like that's for a boy girl, $800 to $1,000.
Wow.
Yeah. So that's the thing, right? And as a performer, like let's just say like you're someone like me, like I'm an average height, average build, few tattoos, still pretty, don't have my tits done, you know. And I was 24 when I got in, right? Like you look at that and it's like you have to have something else.
Sure.
You know, like it's, for me, it was that battle because it's like, oh, you know, they really love like little tiny girls and they like curvier women to have like bigger, fuller, like big fake, you know, that kind of thing. Or you're a BBW. I felt like too far in the middle.
Sure. Right.
So it was really difficult to place me. It was difficult to do all those things, but my professionalism, the level at which I perform, all of those things all tie into that as well. Right. So like I'm showing up definitely on time. Oh, you want to call me because someone else canceled? Great. I'll be there in full hair and makeup in an hour. Right. So it's those little things that build up to having relatively consistent bookings. And by that, I mean, maybe I'll get 3 to 6 in a month. Right.
Okay.
At the height of my career, I was getting between 5 and 8 scenes a month. Okay. Right. And those scenes could be a boy girl that pays $1,000, we'll say. Right. Probably it's a girl. Okay, that's another $700. Solo, $500. Hand job, $300. Right? It may not be enough. Right? So like you do anything you can to like do that. I learned how to be a PA. I was a makeup artist. Like I, you know, I was a extra. Like did a lot of things. I'm sorry, my dog is drinking water.
You know what? I'm sure it'll cut out. Don't sweat it. I've had so many pets on this show.
Gigantic.
It's great.
Sorry. You want to see?
Let's see. Oh, name?
Sunny. Sunshine.
Sunshine. That's cute.
She's
I have
11 and she may not be with us this time next year. We'll see.
Oh, I'm so sorry to hear that. I have a cat named David. So David. That's my thing. A one-eyed cat.
Named Rolo, but he's
I totally get that. That is a great breakdown. So today, let's say, you know, you're pushing, you're reaching out to people.
For athletes, it's hard. Like, it's, you know, because like people imagine like what they see as a finished piece to be.
You're good. You're good. It's not bad. I swear to you, it's not bad. If it's bad for you, you can
Just gonna pick it up.
go whatever you need to do.
What it? You go lay down. What was I saying?
I don't know. Something about, we were talking about the scenes, how many scenes you're able to get, the average.
So like people see like, they'll see like, oh, okay, well, this is like a 5-minute gonzo or a 10-minute gonzo or a 15-minute gonzo or something, or a 30-minute gonzo. And they assume that 30-minute scene takes 30 minutes.
Oh, no. Yeah.
You are incredibly lucky if you get in and out in under 2 hours. Like, we're working all day sometimes. And so like you do have to put yourself out there, and like you have to be an athlete. You need to know exactly what your boundaries are, and you need to know, you know, that you can in fact put your foot down with an agent. You can put your foot down with the director if you need to, like, you know, like you can reprimand a scene partner if you need to. And hopefully, because you have the right conversation before you do the scene, you don't have to do any of that. But, you know, it can happen, but it's like, you have to be ready to go that extra mile. Like you have to sit in traffic for 2 hours to get to set. You have to get up at 4 a.m. to get to an 8 a.m. call for a 12-hour long set. You don't know, you know? So it's, I think that's where the make or break happens. I think if you can be a professional, like a real professional, even if you're doing content trades, that will be that difference of creating a career that lasts and fizzing out really quickly.
I think so many, especially even some of the newer girls I interview, no one that's been out, so don't be like, oh, I think this one, if you're listening to this. But so many newer people coming into this don't understand it. Professionalism is like the biggest thing. You could have the hottest 19, 20, whatever year old girl you want to say. She doesn't show up to set, you don't shoot something, you know? Like, I had a comedy show before this, and we were able to book.
Violate a boundary, right?
Right.
Like, and that's, you know, it's that kind of thing. But
so,
like, I've met new OnlyFans creators at expos who are like asking to do scenes, like, oh, what's your rate for this or like that, and I'm like, well, who have you worked? And like, they're not even aware of what the current testing protocol is. They're not aware of the need for certain levels of paperwork or certain conversations or getting a recorded conversation or getting, you know, things like that. And I think that that's something that's important to voice. And like FSC does a really good job. And, you know, Alex Cole is a really great person for that as well, who's really open about like, speak up for yourself. But yeah, I mean, like if you're not a professional, like you're not going to go anywhere in this industry.
So let me ask you about that. I don't want to use any names only because, you know, I'm not convicting anyone personally. Like I have no experience with the person. On Twitter today, it's blowing up. I'm seeing a lot of people going after a male performer, saying he did inappropriate things and this and that. Totally get that. Everyone should be able to voice it. But I'm also seeing other female performers who are saying, you know, I worked with him. He was fine with me. I understand your experience, but mine was okay. So I'm not necessarily going to attack this guy, tear this guy down. I don't know where I sit on that. As a man, I probably shouldn't actually sit anywhere. Sit back, shut up, listen, let people talk. How do you feel about the cancellations, the this and that in this industry?
As someone that has had an extremely bad set day.
Sure.
Where it should have been bad enough that that performer was never, at the very least, hired by that company again. And then seeing him back on set 3 weeks later, after I got an apology from the owner of the company, like all of these things. It's a hard thing, you know, because like everyone's human, but at the end of the day, you know, you listen to victims very often, you know, these people that are speaking up, like especially industry, we like if we're speaking up generally, like we got receipts of some kind generally. So it's just a matter of like being there to listen and to, you know, be understanding and but the thing is too, is like, it goes farther than that sometimes because, you know, like it's not just he said, she said kind of situations. Like they can be like really, 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 really dangerous, you know?
Sure.
And so it's just because, oh, I met, you know, like, there's a girl I know who dated a guy for years. He was extremely abusive to her. I met him. I almost did a scene with him. I thought he was a really, really nice guy, you know, but seeing what he did to her, you know, and especially like some of the things he, like I heard, you know, from that too, it's like, that was something that he did like on a personal thing, like in their home behind closed doors. Right. And I'm like, but that guy, I don't think should be working in this industry where you have people who are being extremely vulnerable with you, you know, like, so it's, you know, cause like the scenes that we shoot, some of the things that we do can easily be extremely dangerous to do.
For sure.
I dislocated a hip and tore a labrum at a set just because we slid off the couch at the wrong angle. So, and I was out for 8 months. So it's, you know, like, so for me, like if someone is not safe, emotionally stable, maybe they shouldn't be in front of a camera with a scene partner just in case, you know? So that's something. But like guys that are doing things on sets that have like obvious, yes, they absolutely did do it, they should be blacklisted. And very often, a lot of times they just go reinvent themselves and come back until they get caught again. So it's a really hard cycle that we see. But like, I think people like to take at the porn industry about that particularly, because like, oh yeah, see, it's all these, you know, violent men and, you know, drug addicts and like all this thing. And I'm like, but it's not though, because if every single thing that happened in a break room or an office or a school or like a park or a shop or anything got as much traction and visibility as it gets when someone in our industry shares a story, you would realize it's so common. It's so common. And all we can do is try to protect each other. So that's...
I get that. That makes total sense to me. And I think that's like the best breakdown. I got caught up because halfway through you gave me a new question to ask every girl. What's your worst porn injury? I apologize that you went through that with your labrum and it put you out. But that is a great question I will be asking from now on. I totally understand.
Haven't had it happen yet. Hopefully they never do. That's all I can say, because that was horrible. I
can't imagine. And in that situation, like, were you just in total pain or were you just like, what the fuck?
I disassociate into just feeling my, like, what's happening in a scene when I'm in a scene. Like, the only way I can explain it is like if you see like an actor in like a really, really emotional scene in a movie, like, and they're there, they are that person in that moment. That's how I am in a scene. And the problem is for me is I will push myself to complete something. With that disassociation, I don't feel it for a minute. It's adrenaline and it's, you know, sex and everything else, right? So it's crazy. But yeah, we slid down. His leg was underneath this leg, like near my hip hinge. And we were in Missionary and we slid off the couch because it was like 100 something in the house and there was like 8 of us in the scene. And so it was crazy. It was an orgy scene. And we slid off the couch and his hand was on my kneecap. So all the weight went down towards the floor. And since his leg was under my hip, it just, you know, and I went right back in because I'm hypermobile, luckily, but my labrum did tear it, overextended. So my labrum tore. I managed to finish the scene, had to be helped to my vehicle. But you never know it watching the scene. So that's professionalism. There you go.
Yeah, that's professional.
It's like Brendan Fraser doing The Mummy with a broken back. You know, it's the whole thing.
You said earlier there are a couple things that you exclude in general, like you won't shoot this type of. Is that what would that be called? Is that your limitation list, your no list? I thought a no.
Yeah, like my boundaries. Like a no list is usually the term for like performers we won't work with.
Right.
That we can give our agent so we won't get booked with those people. Like,
Okay.
for example, the guy I had a bad experience with,
Got it.
right? So, so that way I never had to work with him again.
Got it.
Like, no matter what the scene is, if there's a no list and it's a possibility some like that person could be there, the agent lets the casting department know, right? And there could be like a chance either like I could get dropped from that scene, or they'll drop the male talent and get a different male talent. Usually they'll drop a male talent, but you never know.
Have you ever had where you're on set and there was a male cancellation and they potentially float it? Like,
I've had my scene partner switched on me like on set before, like when I showed up. So it happens. Like, it's just what it is.
Sure.
That's like, we don't get to choose who we work with generally, unless we're doing like private content, you know?
Sure. Yeah.
Sometimes some of the really, really big name performers can like, they'll do like, what are they called? Like, where it's like their movie, like their sex movie. And they'll get to pick every single person for that,
Gotcha.
right? Some people are lucky enough to get to that level that they get like that deluxe release, and like they get from like whatever company, and they get to pick everyone in that movie and like figure out like, but I don't know. There's a lot of opportunities you can get. Like Casey Calvert, for example, has written movies, like she directs, right? So like, and she was just a performer, you know, to begin with.
So what are some of the things on your like, what is, if I go to one of your channels where I can check out your content, what is something like I'm not going to see? Like, nah, this turns
like,
Edyn off.
Racial, but I do not use derogatory terminology. But like I don't do butt stuff really like ever on camera, because then it like opens like a whole can of worms. But I don't do that. I don't do rough scenes. I don't do like the gagging and the choking and you know, the all of that, like the mess. Like I don't do that kind of stuff. And I have friends that do, and it's just their jam and they love it. But I'm a little too dominant for that. I can't do it. So
Okay. All right. Fair enough.
not to say I haven't tried, but like I just don't like it. So like I don't do those things. Which limits a lot of the work, because like a lot of the stuff that's popular is like rougher scenes. So like I was limited to more gonzo and then like romance stuff for like the big companies like Wicked, Adam and Eve, Hustler, you know, those kind of companies. Got to do a lot of movies for them, which is cool. But yeah, I mean, like other than that, like I remember there was a point, the agent I had at the time was telling me I was going to ruin my career because I was like, book me for trans stuff. Because I had no problem with it, right? So I was like, book me for trans stuff. And at the time, it was like really taboo to do that, or like it wasn't like really good for you to do that. Like you could lose other work because performers had that as like a boundary. Like anyone that does like what's classified as crossover work, like no, we're not doing that. And they classify trans performers as crossover performers a lot of the times. And at the time, at least, and I was just like, yeah, no, fuck that. Just book it, right? And did do anything, you know? And like, it was like one of my first scenes was an interracial scene, which I think my agent, maybe, I don't know, the particular agent, there was a big lawsuit that happened with him. I wasn't a part of it, but I did lend my voice to it.
Okay.
But yeah, I felt like he like maybe pre-booked me for some things like a little too early in my career, and like those kinds of things. Like maybe I wasn't quite ready to do, but like I did them, they were fine. But yeah, like an agent, how they feel about you can fuck with your money like really easily. So, you know, there's, I don't know where I was going with that. Like,
no, I totally get it. And I think I even know
I've
this.
had great agents as well who do everything and everything they can for you. So
I get it. I think I know the exact site you're talking about. At least I'm not going to reference it, but and that one that was back in the day, I think, when people would go hard, if I remember those scenes. Was it a blow bang?
Right? No, that wasn't what I was talking about. But yeah, no.
Okay.
Just just other things. But like, but you know, in the end, I've had one thing where I got really lucky because I would have had to walk out. if I would have showed up and that would have been the scene. There was a scene I got booked for, a blowjob scene, my agent said.
Okay.
Knowing that I don't do rough stuff.
Okay.
I had a booking for zero tolerance the day before that scene. And it was for throated. But the zero tolerance scene was just like a boy girl, right? Yeah. So like, but it was the same director. So I was like, hey, so for tomorrow, like what's the scene? Like what's going on? Because like, you know, it's for my wardrobe. And then he was like, and I was like, oh, what side is it for? Because you've never booked me for a BJ with this company. And it was like the only one I knew that he worked for at the time. And he's like, oh, it's for throated. I said, oh, babe, I don't do that. And he was like, oh, well, fuck. And I was like, no, but look, I know a girl. I was just talking to her about this like 2 days ago. Call our agent. She's with my agency and get this girl on your set because she's never worked for him before and she's a new girl. And he's like, okay, cool. And so he did that, you know. And so like,
sure.
Not only did I have to like be like, oh fuck, I had to like lose money essentially, right? Because like my agent didn't pay attention, but you know, easy slip up, right?
That goes back to the professionalism you talked about. Yeah,
but I still recommended another girl from my agency to him. So, you know.
There you go. Now, talk to me where we're living here, because I'll tell you this. My wife and I are about to buy a house. And the biggest thing, the most important thing to us is it has a big yard, not so we can let dogs out, not so we can have kids. We want to grow our own vegetables.
You guys want to move across the country and buy the 40-acre property for $80K behind me?
Honestly, if you saw the real estate prices in Jersey right now, I'd go, oh shit, that sounds like a steal.
There was a dry cabin on it with an outhouse, but you can build. That's what our plan is. So you currently, I believe it's in your link tree. It is. You have a GoFundMe up because you want to build an off-the-grid homestead. Tell me why that's important to you and what do you think your setup will look like? Do you plan on vegetation? Are you growing your own stuff? Like, talk me through it. So we purchased this property. It's 40 acres. We're in arid desert climates. There is some work that we need to do ecologically before we can like really try to like farm food out of the ground. But like we'll have greenhouses because it's hella too windy to have like, and the weather's crazy. So it's like it can be really, really hot in the summer, really, really cold in the winter. And it's just easier to have greenhouses because it's all sandstone out here. And you can grow stuff once you have water availability, which you can, for us, we can't put a well on it. So the idea to help us grow is to put in pond swales to help capture runoff soil as well as rainwater to create natural forms and natural ponds, which will help seep out into the ground, where we are reseeding with native prairie grasses and wildflowers. And that should help them grow. And then once they grow and their deep ass roots get back down into the soil, then that will help the soil stay together. And then after a few years, it should be rich enough for us to be able to plant something more substantial. So we'll see. But the whole idea is to live with what we have here. So like we want to work with everything instead of against it. So like when we build like a chicken coop, for instance, a lot of people spend so much money trying to like heat and cool their chickens. Mm-hmm. We're just going to build it out of earth bags. Mm-hmm. And then we'll have its own thermal break. Won't have to worry about it. They'll be fine. Like, you know, it'll just work on its own. Right. So like things like that. And, but we plan to have cattle. My husband grew up on a cow and corn farm. They used to raise their own beef for themselves. So he's got background in that. So we want some cattle, chickens, some emus, maybe some goats, some mini cows so I can do butter. And
so this is full on like I got to get the fuck off the grid.
As self-sustainable as possible is the idea. So even the house, we're going to have a substantial solar system on it. It's only going to be a little, like maybe 1,400 square feet. So 2 bed, 2 bath. Mostly space in the pantry and utility room so we can fit all the systems and food that we need. But yeah, we'll probably have like a 27 kilowatt solar system on the house. So that will run everything in the house, hot water heaters, cooking, all of that. And we'll never have to worry about that at all. We'll have plenty of storage in the battery packs. And we get so much sun out here that it's, you know, and it's a south facing property. So
let me ask you, what's your timeline on that? Do you think, say,
3 to 5 years?
3 to 5. Now, let me ask you.
To get a house done, if not this coming year, the year after. But it's like, but that's why we have the GoFundMe, because we have, like, we own our land, right? And what we're trying to do is wager our land out for a loan that's just enough to get a foundation and a steel structure out here that we can then build out from there. So that way, not only are we keeping our cost down monthly, we have a much shorter loan period and a lower interest rate and less out of pocket to the bank. The $30K is to help with the funds for the deposit on the structure itself, which is from a separate company.
Okay.
And then the plans and build plans for the home, because we have to present even though it's still not going to be a house for like a few years, we have to present that before we can get the loan, and we have to do the deposit on the building before they'll like start doing production and plans for that as well from their systems. So, because they have like their own engineered drawing, and I need that drawing to give to the architect to do the rest of the plans to give to the bank. So that's what all of that is for. And that will basically launch us to a point where we can get the loan, get the building out here, get started, film it all, and build it out of pocket. So we're paying $1,200 to $1,400 a month for that.
Okay.
And we own everything outright in 10 years.
So, not to put this into the universe to your fans out there, obviously, I don't want to create any fear for them, but when this is completed, you're all set up. Is that a exit from the industry, or is it less in the industry? Is it more personal content?
Industry. So the way I am now is very likely the way it will be. I do know that, like, once we have the home and everything, I may invite friends to come out for visits and maybe do customs and content with them. But I'll also be more available to like travel, because a big part of it is, with the animals that we have, even now, like, right. So like we have the dogs, we have some others. And, the main thing is making sure they're cared for.
Sure.
And my husband works away from home 4 days a week. Right. Mm-hmm. Right now, I'm only available to travel Friday through Sunday. That's it. That's all I got. Right. Okay. But once we have a house, we can have a house sitter come in during the week, and I could be gone all week and it wouldn't matter, so it's that kind of thing. So that's something where I may be able to come back full tilt MILF and travel a few times a year and shoot scenes and still have fun things going out. Because, like, I will say this, I like shooting customs. I hate making just content on my own. I got into the industry to shoot with companies, to be in front of cameras on sets and like have, that, and feel like a rock star, right? Feel like a movie star. And you can feel that way doing content shoots, but it's really hard to feel that way in this very limited amount of space, because it limits the creativity as well. So it's like, I don't have perfect lighting, and I, like, with a setup on like a backdrop or like a specific setup to shoot in, or like, it's like, it's this couch or it's that bed and it's all dark. So it's, like, I can do customs all day, but like to do like every single day content, like my brain doesn't work that way. So I spend all day on Sex Panther, and that's what I do. And I love it. And I swear to God, some of the stuff that I get into on the back and forth in Sex Panther would make like great scenes too. Okay. So crazy, some of the stories that I've had with people over the years.
See, okay. All right. Well, I mean, can you pitch me one of those scenarios? You don't have to. What's something that's crazy that
really
you...
random, one of the scenarios is absolutely not going to be appropriate to talk about for YouTube. That's most of the scenarios, but there is one. It's a very particular fetish. It's called giantess.
Oh, okay.
Okay. So there was a guy, he's an Australian guy that I love him to death. He's so sweet. And he's into that fetish. And there's like a secondary part of that fetish where you can like eat people.
Yeah.
Like you shrink them down and you can, and they live in you and become part of you. And like, it's a whole thing. I'm actually doing I'm going to Vegas in February for a shoot for a company to do that. But it's, so one of the stories that we had was kind of like a Raiders of the Lost Ark, but searching for this totem of this like giantess species that was from another planet or something. Like, it was crazy. And like in the moment, like I'm able to weave such intricate detail about the stone, the color, the amount of dew, and like how the moss is dripping off of it, and like how the statue in the temple is shaped with the mouth open wide and the tongue coming down, and like the table underneath it, and like all these things, so it was like, I don't know, like visually it would have been really, really cool, but it's like you have to have like hardcore CGI.
Well, let me ask you, because that's actually kind of by the way, you sound great, but I've done so many interviews where I jump on with a big name I really want to talk to, somebody I love their content and everything, and it sounds terrible on their end, and I'm just like, I think it's the same thing you were kind of saying there, where I go, I want to do so much more with this, but within the means I can work in, it's tough, and I actually get a little bummed out, like, oh man, that interview didn't. Here's what I would say, and I'd like your opinion on it. What you just pitched sounds like a really good use case for AI in the future, right?
But I can't do it.
Why can't you do it? Put yourself in it, you do it yourself, and then it's all your art. You created that.
No.
You used a different tool. It's just a different tool.
There is nothing that AI can create that is going to match what's in my brain.
Give it 2-3 years.
But also, as someone that likes to draw, and as someone that's on camera generally for a living, or was, and someone that does stuff over the phone and text messaging and all of those things, fuck AI. Fuck it.
Okay, I understand, and I understand from your perspective.
It's taking everyone's jobs.
I get
everyone's jobs.
I totally get that.
Taking our jobs.
You know what someone might have said? I bet there was some guy in the Brazzers office somewhere 10 years ago who went, fucking OnlyFans. What is this? I'm not worried about this. It's a new thing. They'll never figure it out. They won't put it together.
They're still not worried about it.
Really?
No, of course not. It's a way that they can find people now. So,
there's so many big names that I know, though, that OnlyFans
was initially pitched to everybody by the guy that started.
Really?
So,
okay. All right.
That's how I learned about it.
I'm just saying, I totally get the hatred.
So Fox, rest in peace, babe.
Rest in peace. I totally get the fear or hatred or anger behind AI. I'm just saying, I would watch that movie if you made it.
I know, it would be good. I know.
Right. When you think about it that way, think about it this way.
That also requires the kind of AI that I have to pay to get. So
yeah, but I'm telling you, 2-3 years from now, you'll be able to put the idea in, type it out in detail, and I'm not cheering for AI. I'm only saying, I want to see that. I don't know if you'll ever shoot it. If you have the opportunity to ever put it in AI, yeah. I'd like to watch your movie. Okay, Edyn? That's all I'd like.
My giantess temple or...
So, this went by like that, by the way. Let me ask you, last question here. What is the career future? I guess we kind of touched on it already, but you want to finish the personal stuff first, the house, the setting everything up. What are you calling it? Are you calling it a homestead or a compound? Compound sounds scary. Oh, okay.
Compound is like multiple housing units.
Okay. Yeah. Fair enough.
So,
you never know.
Yeah. No, I mean, that's really what it is. I'm like, I always said that I will be in front of the camera as long as someone wants to see me there. And I believe that. I have tried to get out of it. In a way, I was working with companies that were like adult industry adjacent, like they were like script writing, or they were doing like a different fan site or like whatever, and they just didn't, they all fumbled and they just, because the men in charge didn't run them properly. But that's I tried a normal job again for the first time in like 15 years. And I was just like, this is literally a waste of my energy. Like, I'm not fulfilled doing this in any way. I am fulfilled when I'm sharing something with someone on a video chat or a phone call or a text message. Like, I'm fulfilled when I'm in front of a camera on a studio set. I'm like, I love it. Like, it's just part of me and who I am completely. So I don't think it will ever completely go away. But who knows, but the idea, like, to have something larger, in the back of my head is a benefit, because then now, okay, I've got a mudroom, I've got a pantry, I've got 2 bedrooms, I've got 2 different bathrooms, I've got a living room, I've got a deck, I've got an outdoor space, I've got, maybe a shop one day or a barn, so like those kinds of things. That helps a lot when it comes to being able to produce a lot more, so, being able to have like different scenarios and spaces and things, and not just feeling like you're in this tunnel, as good as I try, it still looks how it looks. So it's, I think that like once the house is done, we'll probably see like an uptick, of me doing more stuff, sure. But we're also hoping that building the home in the way that we're building it will help inspire other people to try to do something too. Because like we were just trying to figure out like, how can we build a house without giving a bank more than $500,000, without giving a bank $1.3 million, like, over the course of however many years, and especially being people that like don't come from money, and also like don't make a lot of money. My best year ever in porn, I think I did like 75 or 80K, right? My best year. And that includes dancing and Sex Panther and everything else, right? So, like we're just normal people. A lot of us, we're just trying to pay the bills, make it work, and I have like a big persona for sure. Like, like I feel timeless, I know, but but I'm just a normal person, like I struggle to pay the bills. I struggled, to put things together. And like, we literally scraped everything we could to get this property, and we did. And that was years, like we bought it 2 years ago. So almost 3 years ago. And we've been here in the bus. Right. So yeah, asking for a little bit of help.
Sure.
And it's like, people are like, oh, it's not a little bit, it's so much money. And I'm like, yeah, but like, it's as little as $2 for,
it's not,
for 10,000 people, like that's it. It just need, like, if you can't donate, just share it,
Sure. Honestly,
like, our goal too is to like help educate people, and it's like, and help our community as well. Like we're in a really small town here, like we're next to a bigger area, but like there's so much that like, if we were able to like produce the way we hope to, that we'd be able to help like give families fresh food, because the food banks here don't do fresh food, right? Like they only do box foods and stuff, and like fresh food is important. Or being able to donate eggs, or being able to do things like that, and then also working with, hopefully maybe like some schools or something to like bring kids out and like teach them about the animals and about how we're using the natural ecology of our area to work for us instead of working against it. Like that's what we're trying to do. Like this year, like we have like, there's a wild grass, like a ground cover that is here in Colorado, and like we planted some of it this past year. You always plant it right before it snows.
Mhm.
So it's and like doesn't get eaten by birds and stuff. So it's under the snow and gets hydrated and pushed down. And it's like full ground cover. And it's, you know, it's spreading. Like we had wildflowers this year and like everything, you know, and we have a lot more wildlife. We had deer, elk, bighorn sheep. Like it's great, you know. So like what we're doing is working. It just takes a really long time.
She works hard for her money, ladies and gentlemen. I've been setting that up for a little while. Edyn Blair, my guest for the evening. You know exactly where you can find her. If you want to call or text her, it's at Edyn Blair. Links to everything are in the episode description. Edyn, thank you so much for coming on with me tonight.
Mm-hmm. Oh, and just to let you know, my Twitter is at Edyn _
Blair. Yes, that is the
official Twitter. Edyn Blair at Instagram.
Okay. All right. Oh, again, links to all that in the episode description. Make sure you check it. Edyn, again, thank you for coming on with me tonight.
Of course. It was lovely to hear from you.